there are currently about 1.1 billion people around the world using the internet, which translates into trillions of dollars of business conducted over the internet every year. In terms of internet governance, there are many players in the ecosystem of the internet that are focused on the stability, security, and integrity of its operations. And one of the goals of internet governance is to foster harmony and innovation in the internet. Some of the key players in the ecosystem include the Internet Engineering Task Force, the Internet Architecture Board, the Internet Society, and of course ICANN. And the table up on the screen shows a little bit about the internet usage in the world, and as you can see, Asia represents nearly 400 million people in the world using the internet, which is about 36% of the market, and it happens to be the second fastest growing market, or one of the fastest growing markets next to Africa. If you look at the internet itself, which is coming up on nearly 40 years of anniversary, the concept of internet governance is really not all that old, and really has just spawned in the last 10 years out of the United Nations and the General Assembly endorsing what's called the World Summit on the Information Society, which was really the first formal step to establish an information society for all. And the WSIS, which is what it's commonly referred to, was set up to be run in two different time periods, Geneva in 2003, and then the second phase in Tunis in 2005. During the Geneva WSIS session, it was really the first time that internet governance was forming to establish a foundation for the information society and working to take into account all the stakeholders in the internet. Phase 2 of WSIS was to actually create a plan of action and find solutions on internet governance. And as you'll see a little bit later in the presentation, one of the concepts that came out of WSIS is the creation of the IGF, which is the Internet Governance Forum. Out of the first phase of the World Summit on the Information Society, a working group on internet governance was formed, and it was established to develop a working definition of internet governance, to identify public policy issues relevant to internet governance, and to develop some common understandings of the respective roles and responsibilities of various stakeholders. What came out of the working group on internet governance is the definition up on the screen, which is the development and application by governments, the private sector, and civil society in their respective roles of shared principles, norms, rules, decision-making procedures, and programs that shape the evolution and use of the internet. Phase 2 of the WSIS session, which was in Tunis in 2005, recognized that internet governance includes more than internet naming and addressing, and they first started discussing public policy issues, critical internet resources, security and safety, developmental aspects, and issues pertaining to use. And as I mentioned, the Internet Governance Forum also came out of that session. So the first Internet Governance Forum was convened in Athens just last year, and included themes of access, openness, diversity, security, and critical internet resources. And the second forum, which will be convened in November of 2007, will be very similar, but those issues will be discussed in much greater detail. In terms of ICANN and its role in internet governance, it's important to first understand exactly what ICANN's mission is, and it's responsible for technical coordination of the internet's unique identifiers, including domain names, IP and AS numbers, and protocol port parameter numbers, and It's also responsible for coordinating the DNS root server system, and lastly, coordinating policy development as it relates to these functions